All right, hey everyone, welcome to the Salty Sports Show. We have a special guest today. Dan will be linking all of his Twitter um, with the video. We'll link it with the Twitter post as well. Special thanks to him. He'll be coming to talk about the NHL draft with us. However, we're going to start off with the NBA Finals. So we were treated to a pretty good final. We had some really good games some great contested ones. But what can we say about the final but that Giannis really came through? I
Yeah,
mean,
he had the game of his life. That game six was insane.
yeah,
50 dropped 50. He only missed two free throws and he took like what 15 or it was I don't remember. It was some pretty crazy high number. Coming off of Chris Paul saying that everyone's expecting to miss, especially him. So pretty impressive performance. He was great all over the place.
yeah. I mean, like the big thing with the just the final is that the Bucks came up when they needed to. Like we thought they were we thought they had looked kind of dead before, but it's just wow. Just
Yeah, they knocked down a lot of shots they needed to. And even
I
like
think
Holiday
the
has
big
been crazy,
difference
who
was
I
that
thought was
Giannis really just needed to recover from the injury more, and you could tell
yeah.
in the first game he was a little hobbled. As the series went on, man, he went off. And Chris Middleton, man, whenever people start doubting him, he just makes these clutch shots. Like he just turns into prime
Yeah, he got
Kobe.
slept on that series. Yeah, he was
You roast Chris Middleton just gets roasted into becoming prime Kobe.
it's wild. I didn't even think he was that inconsistent. Like, sure, he had some off games, but like, I don't know. I thought the scoring was there, even when the shooting was a little off. Holiday was really the one that kind of killed, and even game six, he was like a few assists, I think, away from a triple double, or he was at least really close. So he was executing that he needed to.
Yeah.
Knocked down a corner three, while Giannis I think was getting like triple teamed later, which crowd went wild for. I suppose I should get into the big story. I was actually at Game Six for those who didn't know. First Bucks game I've been to at Pfizer. I saw him at Bradley before they moved, which was fun. But again, the stadium is it's so much better. Like just walking in is so majestic. Everything was perfect about it. Really, I didn't really have one problem going into it. I got there like an hour and a half early,
The
uh,
big thing for
and
me
it
is I think
was it
Ben
was just a
Simmons
lot
could
of
be.
fun.
I
Got
think
to
he could be.
relax, everything.
I
But
think Ben Simmons
getting
could
into
be
the good
a great
details,
number two
crowd
option
was
on a
wild, man.
championship
Every
winner. I
shot
don't think
going
that.
in from the when the game started to the final buzzer, every shot got everyone on their feet. Everyone was getting hyped up. Bobby Portis getting a chance for Bobby Portis's name in the NBA Finals is just something that I never thought I'd do in person, and I was just so happy I was able to, man. It was just a crazy experience. Bucks fans wanted that. I didn't even know how many Suns fans were there. It very clearly wasn't that many, but boy, it felt like there was zero. That was just you could tell going into it that this was on their terms, and they knew they were going out as NBA champions. To put it, I mean, it's very. I know I'm being mawkish, but again, this is just. It was the atmosphere was electric that night. I mean, every shot that hit, every great defensive play, it deserved the crowd's attention. The defense chants, all of it was just so fun to watch. And of course, not an NBA game if you're not booing the refs. Refs got their fair share of hazing, but at the end of the day, it was a treasure to be at that game.
Yeah.
Honestly, there were not many NBA Finals games. I mean, being at the NBA Finals in general is a treat, but in terms of the ones that I'd have been able to go to, I was honored to be able to go there. Just
Yeah.
it
And
was an atmosphere I'll never forget for sure.
it was a great overall series. A lot of came down the wire. I think the refs they had issues, but it benefited both sides. So I can't really say that like, oh, the refs, played it one way or the other. Um,
I thought they were playing pretty well up until the second half. They started to show some lapses, but I thought they were generally pretty consistent. I didn't really have a huge issue with
yeah,
them, although
I'm
they did
more
make some
about the
rough plays.
series
Like,
overall than the actual games, like than the game
yeah,
six. I think Game 6
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
done. I think Game 6, I don't remember really any issues with Game 6. It was more like Game
Well,
5 and Game 4.
PJ Tucker went on a breakaway after he got a steal from Booker, and I think he fouled Booker was like the one claim. It looked like it. I don't remember for sure, but I thought there was a bit of a foul call there. Of course, Bucks fans didn't really notice it, and they were complaining about Booker's foul, but um,
Yeah.
there were definitely some lapses they had
Yeah.
for
I
sure.
mean,
There,
so here's a question because a lot of NBA finals have these moments. Some don't if they're
Mhm.
just blowouts. What was the most iconic moment
In that game 6,
in just general in any if you could pick any moment in the final?
this series, man. God, Giannis's block of Aiden was so electric. I know that was I think that was on Phoenix's court, but
Yeah.
God, if that was at that game 6, that would have been like blocked by James. It would have just been insane.
Yeah.
It would have been like a
That block in
shot.
terms
It
of
would have been
physical
anything.
gifts was probably tougher than what LeBron did. Not saying LeBron's wasn't tough.
Oh, absolutely,
But
absolutely.
we're
That
just
was
talking
like
about.
it was a
I think
floater.
LeBron's is the greater one because of just like when it was a game 7. But like Giannis is in terms of like physical. I know Chris Middleton said it himself. Like Giannis in terms of the actual doing, that was like a tougher one to make.
Yeah, absolutely. Aiden's like 6'11", and I think it was either a floater or a higher layup. I'm leaning more towards the latter, and Giannis just got a great jump on it and great reaction, especially since he had to just turn 180 degrees to react to it since it was an alley oop, and he was on forgot who threw that up, but he was on the guy who
Booker, I think.
was trying to get the assist. It might have been Booker, yeah. So that was just a showcase of athleticism. That was a huge moment. Also, God, this might just be my bias because this one just really stood out to me. But late in the game too, or early in the game even, I just want to say this: watching Giannis play basketball in person is another level of fun. It is when he is at the top of the top when he's at the top of the arc, and you see him, and there's three guys down the lane. If you're looking straight ahead towards the basket, and there's two guys to the left and the right of you, respectively, and Giannis can just drive all the way in and juke through two guys out and go behind three guys and with his arms like Mr. Fantastic stretched him out, just be able to knock it in with a beautiful layup. I mean, that's just there's no better treat than that to watch in basketball. I mean, I don't know if anyone else can do it, period. Giannis is just so gifted, but watching that in person is just a whole different level of fun.
Yeah, I agree.
So those stuck out to me. Holiday's corner three, Giannis, I think
Mm-hmm.
knocked it out to him. Holiday, very not great shooting in that game 6. But again, the triple double numbers were crazy. But he knocked that one down. That was epic. Just some of those moments were just so electric, and I mean,
Yeah.
it was a lot of fun. It was that whole series. I think was pretty well played. I think everyone thought the Bucks were gonna win it going into it, or I know there was like some contention, but I don't know, Bucks were
Yeah,
getting hot, and
there was
everyone knew
definitely
this team was
contention.
destined for a title.
Because
Yeah, for sure.
I could see people saying maybe stops the Bucks from going all the way. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean this was a great series. Drew Holiday had a defensive masterclass on Chris Paul after the first 2 games.
Oh yeah, he had like 4 steals game 6, I think.
Yeah, like his defense he really held down Chris Paul. I mean that was a great series. So Link, you got anything kind of say about the finals here?
I mean, a lot of things have been said about, you'll probably sum it up, but I just think it's so refreshing to see because, I kind of kept track of it. I mean, I thought about it for a second. It's like, wow, these last 10 NBA finals had at least LeBron or Curry in it. And this final featured neither of them. I mean, the last time we had a finals like this was with, that was the rematch, right, between Lakers and Celtics in 2010. So it's so refreshing to see, and and this
You
does absolutely launch Giannis into like superstardom. I mean these past few years for the Bucks, they've had some second, third round playoff runs, and then they just abruptly end. But now, I mean, they're champions. This legitimizes their team, and I think this was a great series. I mean, Giannis putting up 50. That's the moment. Like that's the iconic finals moment. I mean, he was throwing down so many monstrous dunks that just got the crowd electric. It was so fun to watch on
Hmm.
live TV. And I know Steven, you were there. It must have been you were saying it was so loud.
Yeah, no, it was crazy. Seeing him in person is just a different experience. It's just amazing.
But it was crazy because I mean, those first 2 games, they got me. I was like, and I remember this. I remember on a previous episode we were talking about it when they were down 0-2 to the Nets. I was like, I kind of doubted them trying to get back into the series because how dominant the Nets looked. Now then again, those first 2 Nets games were definitely different from the first 2 Suns games against the
Yeah, the
Suns
Suns
because
were certainly
it
less
was, it was they
dominant.
were they were competitive. Yes, all these games were competitive, and
Mhm.
going to Milwaukee kind of changed just like that Nets series, and they started to turn the momentum. We never got the Suns in 4 meme legitimized, so that's unfortunate. Um, other than that, it was I. This is such a great. It's a fresh breath of air for basketball, definitely.
Yeah, and I know Steven talked about not Steven. You talked about the streak. Steven, no, because Steven's talking about the game. Yeah, so you were talking about the streak. I don't think he mentioned it. I'm my head's getting
I did not
confused.
know.
Wait, you were talking about the streak, and you mentioned the first time since Kobe. If you can make this even further, and even though it's just 3 more years added to it, this is the first finals without LeBron, Curry, or Kobe since 2006. And then, if you really want to stretch the streak like crazy, you could add Tim Duncan to it, and then it'll go to the Bulls versus the Jazz. Like
Unreal. That was the last
Jordan,
dance,
probably.
right?
Yeah, that was the last dance. And so then
Yeah.
you have those 4 players, and they've been in every final since the '90s, man. Up
Yeah,
to this
it's
point.
That's just nuts.
it's
It's
wild, and that's
nuts.
why I think this is going to be. I mean, this is already starting off to be a great decade of basketball if we're getting the finals this early into the
Wait.
decade, and we may even see more of these.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm not
we may.
actually. I want to correct myself real quick. '06 with the Heat and the Mavs, but other than that, those 4 players.
Yeah, because it was getting kind of tiring the past 5-6 years. It was LeBron, it was Cavs versus Warriors for
Warriors.
4 straight years, and then it kind of switched it to Warriors, Raptors, and then the COVID finals last year with LeBron and the Lakers, not the Cavs, beating Miami.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a good change. It's a good fresh. Yeah, it's a breath of
It's
fresh
yeah,
air. And I could see next year being 2 completely different teams. I mean, I think the Bucks still have it in them to win it. Obviously, Bud will always be a question mark. This championship doesn't change it, but they're gonna have a lot of wear because they're sending guys to the Olympics, important guys. So they will have a lot of wear. They will be given a decent amount of time to recover, though. But you know, they're a team that's certainly capable of doing it again. But, I think this is the time in the NBA where I could think, maybe next year we can see the Nuggets or the Clippers or the Nets or the Sixers maybe. You know, this isn't
Yeah.
this isn't like where I could think I'm like 100% positive that these teams are going to make it kind of deal. Uh
it's almost now like we have parity in the NBA.
yeah. Any last comments kind of about the NBA? Because I do have one closing thing, but
Um, I don't know. I'd give it a hot take. I don't know if this is really a hot take. I'd honestly think if Giannis retired today, he'd be arguably a Hall of Famer.
yeah, I'd agree. I
He's
think
already got the resume.
he
I
already has the
definitely
resume.
agree.
Yeah,
He might have even
his
had the
talent is generational.
the resume before the championship.
Yeah,
2 MVPs.
honestly, I agree. I don't know. The voters will be more inclined to do it after the
Oh
championship, but
yeah.
personally, I agree.
Hmm.
So my take, I guess, before we move to the NHL, I've been saying this for a year now. In my opinion, Giannis is absolutely the best player in the NBA. I don't think that can be
Yeah,
questioned
I agree.
after. So
I
it's
agree.
kind of moving to the NHL. We'll introduce Dan. To kind of finish, we didn't. I thought we did. I guess we didn't really have this in. So I guess we'll just recap the Stanley Cup final real quickly. But I guess there's nothing really much to say except for the NHL and the NBA kind of switched places this year with how their playoffs went with expectation and parity. You'd expect that the NHL one was the one full of twists and surprises, but in reality, Tampa Bay just bent it to the reality and they won it again. I thought Montreal might have stood on their head for another game, made it 6, but man, Tampa, they were just extremely dominant in these playoffs. I guess I had nothing much to say to them, but like congratulations in that. Holy hell, that was a dominant team. You guys got anything to comment on that?
I mean, they're probably going to be a dynasty, to be honest. Or I don't know if they already are qualified enough to be classified as such.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were just fantastic. I don't know. The Canadians making their Cinderella run was pretty surprising. I don't know if really any NBA team was like that. I know, man, this prediction failed laughably, but I know first round when the Lakers went up against the Suns, I was talking about how that series may be competitive because Lakers will have full strength again in the playoffs, no matter the seeding. But I don't know if the Suns making their run into the finals was really as expected or nearly as impressive as the Canadians, because there's a chance, and a pretty good one at that the Canadians might not even make the playoffs next year, which would be kind of crazy to just
Yeah.
think about how they are right now compared to where they could be next year.
Yeah,
I
and
think the Suns
I know a lot of
will still
Habs
maintain a similar
fans.
level of
A lot of
dominance.
Habs fans, I mean, the run was worth it to them, but going forward, they aren't happy that the playoff run has given Marc Bergevin or Ducharme a blank check going forward, practically.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. Give them
Um,
Doogie. You'll give us Doogie, but if not, give them Doogie.
Yeah, so that will be, that'll be an interesting story to follow. But if you feel like what we're talking about with the Stanley Cup final is underwhelming, that emphasizes how I felt about the final. It was underwhelming. The best,
I
Yeah,
mean,
I concur. I concur. I expected it to go a little bit deeper, and it did. My prediction failed laughably,
I wanted to say a
and
sweep so badly. I wanted to stay in 5 so badly, but I really thought Carey Price was going to steal 2 games. So it was like, oh
same.
man.
I think I
Yeah, I should have
said
gone.
I'm pretty sure I said Tampa in 6. Someone can correct me on that, or maybe got it right. I don't know. It's been a while,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, a side of me wanted to believe in Montreal, and you all call it underwhelming, and yeah, it kind of was because man, the Tampa wins were such blowouts, except for the game 5 where they won it, where it was pretty close. It was a 1-0 game,
I think
but I mean,
there was one game that was fairly close.
I think that was the one where Montreal won in OT. Yeah, game number 4. That was the
Yeah.
one that kept them alive for another day. Other than this, then it went back to Tampa. Lost pretty convincingly. It was pretty underwhelming. I mean, we could talk about this Tampa team for years and how they manipulated the cap system and all this, but I mean,
It was a dominant team. They were the best team in the league. They
yeah,
proved it. They bulldozed. Like, yeah, the Islanders kept it close, but there were games where they just humiliated the Islanders. I mean, they
yeah, that game where they scored 7 goals. I'm pretty sure that was game
5.
1.
Yes, game
Nope,
5.
game 5.
All right, so I guess that's kind of it for the finals. But we brought a guest here today. This is Dan. He's been scouting for the NHL entry draft. So we'll ask him a few questions. But if you want to talk a little bit about yourself, Dan, go ahead and introduce yourself.
What's up, everybody? I don't have much to say about myself. I guess why I'm here. I just follow a bunch of the NHL draft stuff, and watch a bunch of these guys whenever I get the opportunity to.
Yeah.
That's guess why I'm here.
All
I
right.
occasionally post rankings.
So I guess the first question for you, Dan, who is your pick for number 1 overall? If you were the general manager of the Buffalo Sabres, you weren't trading the pick, you're picking with number 1. Who are you taking?
If I'm picking number one, I would go with Matty Beniers. Solid two-way center, right? Because they're probably going to trade Eichel and maybe even Reinhardt. But even if they don't trade Reinhardt, I could see a duo of Beniers and Reinhardt working as a 1-2 punch. They're
Yeah.
both, well, obviously Beniers is young and Reinhardt is not that old. I could see that working long term. Beniers is a more two-way guy, and Reinhardt can maybe fully blossom into the
Yeah.
offensive player he could be.
All right. I guess, a follow up. If you had to pick like a favorite prospect that you've been watching this year, who would it be?
Well, totally way off the board. My favorite prospect would probably be Dmitry Kuzmin, the Belarusian defenseman, who is a defenseman that can pull off a Michigan goal, which is always fun.
Yeah.
But in terms of top 10, the skill that Fabien Lysell has is just like next level. People always say about how Ken Johnson has great hands. In my opinion, Fabien Lysell has nearly as good, if not better, hands and just pure ability and great skater to as well to go with it. He's
Yeah.
probably the most fun player in this class, in my opinion.
All right. Yeah. If I can, find some like shift videos, I'll definitely try to watch Liso. If I guess, who would you call the most underrated? Who would you call the most overrated?
Well, I would have a few guys for both. In terms of underrated, I already brought him up once with Dmitry Kuzmin. He had like the time, like right before the U18 World Championship, when people were like starting to catch on, I feel. And then at the U18s, his teammate Danila Klimovich, I believe is how you say it. It's Belarusian. I don't know. Uh, he had a great tournament, and people started shooting him up in their rankings over Kuzmin. But I would still say Kuzmin's probably the better player. And then in terms of just underrated, I guess in terms with NHL scouts, Fabien Lysell, because there's rumors with him of off ice issues, but someone in my position, I can't tell that. But
Yeah.
other than that, I would say actually Atu Ratu is honestly probably underrated now. People love hating on him because he hasn't. I don't want to say he hasn't developed as much, but he didn't have great offensive luck this year. Didn't score a bunch, but he's still a solid guy. He's still my second at the tail end of my second tier.
He was
Tier
very
that
good on the eye test, I'm guessing then.
yeah, good eye test. And yeah, he was good. Like he drove play really well. He just didn't finish for the first half of the year like at all.
I'm
And
assuming
then
significant improvements in the second half then.
not really in terms of not in terms of like driving play and whatnot, but he did see. I believe he scored more in the
Yeah.
second half than the first half.
All right. That makes sense.
And then I'll just run through a couple other guys. I feel like I generally have Simone Robertson a lot higher than other players. And then one of the highest upside guys in the class is Scott Morrow from Shattuck. Played in a super low level. Like high school, you don't see many players getting drafted that high. But he just was absurd in that league and just dominated everybody. Really good skater in the league. Has super high upside, but you never know where he's going to fall because,
Yeah.
you know, high
You're
school.
concerned with high school, yeah. Any other names or?
One more, probably, I don't want to say the most underrated guy, but the guy I'm willing to stick my neck out the most for is Brent Johnson, the defenseman for the Sioux Falls Stampede. I've seen criticisms of his defense, and in my opinion, from what I've seen, he may not be the best in zone defender, but he was remarkably impressive to me at not just defending the rush, but sticking with his guy and like skating backwards and staying dead even with his forward and just being able to push him to the outside and knock the puck off their stick. He was one of the more impressive players I've seen because I wasn't expecting it, and it came out of nowhere when I watched him. And yeah, I was really really impressed when I saw that from him.
All right. I guess one last question I'll ask. If you want, could you touch on your top 10 prospects and talk about a little bit of what you like, maybe something that you'd like to see them improve on, a little bit of a description for them.
Yeah, I can do that. My number one prospect is not Matty Beniers, like who I said I would take first. It's actually Jesper Wallstedt, the goalie from Sweden. I'm gonna admit it, not a goalie. I'm not a goalie person, but he stopped pucks well at a level that nobody at his age had stopped pucks at before. And to me, in a class where nobody's really stepped up and really taken the number one spot, I'm willing to give it to the goalie who has the highest upside. And second overall, I already touched on him a bit. I have Matty Beniers, two-way center from UMich. Good skater, good offense, good defense, solid all-around player. And then I feel like I have to bring up William Eklund talking about him. He's just slight sliver behind William Eklund. Very skilled forward for Djurgårdens in the SHL. Played with Alexander Holtz. I believe he set some records for the highest scoring draft, or not record, since like 2008. He had some of, if not the highest scoring of an SHL forward in their draft year. But what gives Matty Beniers the edge over him is just the defensive play. I would ever so slightly take Beniers over him because of his defense, although Eklund is probably better offensively. And then fourth, I have Brant Clark. And a lot of people are lower on Clark than me, although some are higher, so I didn't have him as one of my underrated guys. They mostly cite skating concerns. I see some of the skating concerns, and I can see why, but I think skating is one of the easier things to fix, especially with someone of his. I don't want to say size, but like he's always been a top player. And I feel like he can work on the skating easier, and he's a good straight line skater, and I'm getting him and Owen Power mixed up, but one of them's a better straight line skater and one of them's better with edge work. Yeah, Clark is really good skating to the new. He's one of the better puck handlers, puck handling defenseman, able to cut through the neutral zone easier. And he's not. He played in Slovakia this year, and he was not. He didn't look out of place, especially defensively, in Slovakia as a Canadian 17-year-old. And then I have Simon Edvinsson fifth. He's more of a defense first defenseman, although he does have some offensive upside. People like to compare him to Philip Broberg. I see it, but I feel like he has just immense upside. Six, I already touched on Liesel, super high skilled forward. Seventh, I did already touch on Owen Power, but I feel like I should go more in depth because a lot of people have him first or second. He's a big defenseman, can skate pretty well, but just he's always played on really, really good teams, and his defensive issues are concerning for me. I'll just say that. But really, the difference between really 1 and 12 for me is really not a lot. And then to finish out my top 10, I have Mason McTavish, Luke Hughes, and Cole Sillinger. McTavish really shot up the rankings with a really, really impressive U18 performance. Forward from the OHL, I don't have much to say on him because he didn't play much this year. Luke Hughes is another one I'm lower on. Very young defenseman, good skater, as everyone in his family is. But again, I just was worried more about his defense than anything. That sometimes the 5'2" Sean Barons looked like a better defender than the 6'2", 6'3", whatever he is now, Luke Hughes. That's a bit worrying. And then Cole Sillinger is probably my biggest surprise in the top 10. He was a great playmaker in his draft year -1 in the WHL and a great sniper this year. And in my opinion, he probably has the ability to, if he can combine the two, he could seriously become one of, if not the best player from this draft class. And that's why I'm more bullish on him than most people are.
Yeah. I guess.
Sorry, I was rambling there, I'm sure.
Oh no, don't worry about it. So I'll ask you one question, just out of my personal, hopes and dreams. If you're the Blackhawks GM, what would your ideal selection be, realistically?
Blackhawks pick
11.
11? Yeah.
Because Arizona forfeited their
Lisell.
pick. Lisell, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
I'd pay what he's. Yeah.
All right.
I'll raise you a
Lisell would probably
situation
still
real
be there.
quick. Should they trade for Seth Jones, which I think is looking more and more likely? How would
Absolutely
you say that? How would you fit that into their future plans in terms of maybe not exactly in projecting their future? Well, let's just say they trade Boquist for him. How would you kind of fit him into their future plans? I know this is a bit of an off-ball, not really draft related question, but kind of, since
Yeah.
they'd probably trade their first one.
I mean, how would I fit Seth Jones into their future or the first rounder?
Seth Jones.
Well, ideally, I wouldn't trade for him. And then if I do trade for him, ideally, I wouldn't sign him to a big contract extension. But assuming that the big contract extension is as part of the trade, I really don't know. I would hope that he can bounce back to what his peak was in Columbus, away from Tortorella, and then go from there. I wouldn't. I wouldn't give him big #1 minutes immediately. At least I would let him adjust and hopefully find some confidence again.
Yeah.
I don't know, handedness, playing with Connor Murphy, a really, really solid defender. Although I feel like they're both right shots.
They are both right shots, but I've seen there. It's
Yeah.
not frequent. Murphy has played on the left a little bit, but I'm not sure if it's how it's gonna go down. My God, though, if Zadorov and Jones becomes a pairing, my nightmares will be completed.
If Zadorov and Jones becomes a pairing, I'm gonna go to Blackhawks game just so I can stab my eyes.
Zadorov at $5.75 million for 5 years.
Oh God,
Yeah,
there's a
Draymond
part
kid.
of me that we'll transition to the Seattle expansion draft in a second because there's been a lot of trades before it and whatnot. There's a part of me that with Zadorov, I feel like the fact that there's been no trade yet, because it seems like Chicago's been exploring it. I feel like Zadorov has lost a lot of leverage he may have had before in contract negotiations. Like no one wants to touch it, like what he wants. But that could be just me wishfully thinking. Um, but yeah, if I guess we could talk about the expansion draft now. So obviously before the expansion draft, we had some trades get made. There was the Jared McCann trade. Dan, I guess it's fair to say Pittsburgh won because Toronto screwed it up, right?
Uh, I disagree. I believe it was Patrick Bacon on Twitter, said that the trade and the expansion draft you should view as two separate moves, from at least from Toronto's point of view, where Toronto just fleeced Pittsburgh, and then Toronto made an even dumber move by exposing McCann for letting him go for nothing. And as I'm a Pens fan, it does not feel like we won the trade at all, even though Toronto didn't. I feel like it's also the same thing with the Leddy trade with the Islanders. It's just was kind of a lose-lose trade, at least now,
Yeah.
for the Penguins trade.
And then I guess we'll talk about another deal. So Link, the whole Ryan Ellis trade, he's dealt for, I believe it was
Phil Myers and Nolan Patrick.
Phil Myers and Noel Patrick, and then I believe
Yeah,
Cody
we traded Nolan Patrick for Cody Glass.
Cody Glass.
immediately.
Yes.
Yeah. I was trying
Yes.
to figure out where did Glass go because I'm like, yeah. So Link, I kind of want to hear a bit about what you're thinking with the whole debacle.
Yeah, I don't.
You know,
I don't get that one from Nashville's perspective. Like you trade a legit #1 defenseman for what ended up being a project forward and a number 4 defenseman.
I mean,
Rebuild time.
I mean, that's what Nashville. It's been can I just comment, dude? It's been a interesting month for Predators fans right now, and we're almost at the end of it. But a lot of things have happened. I guess big news number one from Nashville is Pecorine announcing his retirement beginning of the month, or not the beginning of the month, but and it was I got emotional. I will say this, and a week later we have this Ellis trade, which I mean, Ellis is one of our top. I mean, he, like you said, a top defenseman on our team, but he is on. I mean, he's had some trouble with injury. But I don't know. I can't really say like because the trade just happened. I am gonna try to be optimistic about it. I don't know who this Felipe Byers guy is, and all I see on Twitter when I look at try to find highlights is him falling over uh, when he was going to the he was going to the bench. But you did say or Cody Glass, who is a project player, he has a total of hold up, let me look up this. Okay, we got 10 points out of 27 games. But I think he's gonna try. I mean, considering we lost who did we lose? We lost Blackwell last year, and I think another project forward will do us well in the long way.
Yeah.
And one more thing, or actually, I'll say two more things, because I want to still say on top of Nashville. Yannick Weber, speaking of defenseman, also has retired. So rip him. And shout out to Luke Prokop, which is a Preds prospect. The coming out as gay. Good for him.
Yeah.
That's it in terms of the Nashville Predators news for July of 2021. We can now talk about something else.
I know. I just think quickly. The Canucks, I believe, traded Jason Dickinson for a third to Vancouver, right? Or not the Canucks. No, the Stars. Excuse
Canucks
me.
traded for him. Yeah,
Yeah, the
Stars
Canucks
traded him.
traded for him. Yep. And then
Yeah.
I also believe the Duncan Keith trade. That was funny. Like, look, I'm gonna miss what Duncan Keith was, but what Duncan Keith was is long gone, right? I'm glad this
Yeah.
trade happened. We got such a
Oh yeah,
great
no, Keith is
return.
awful.
Yeah, we got such a
Yeah,
great
Caleb
return.
Jones.
We got
He's probably gonna play in the third line and all, but he's not that good. But like when you look at how good he is compared to Keith, even in that limited role, man, I'll gladly take that if it frees up $10 million and we get a conditional third.
yeah, dude. Caleb Jones, the better Jones brother. We got him. We did it. That's the only Jones I'm hoping to see on the roster.
Oh my god, dude, we're gonna trade. We're gonna trade for Seth Jones. It's gonna be a massive overpay. We're gonna get fleeced by Columbus 2 times in the last decade, and it's gonna be like the
3
worst
times.
fleeces in Chicago sports history. And we're gonna give him a Brent Seabrook extension. We're gonna end up rebuilding again. I'm just seeing the future.
This is.
You don't want to sign Martin Jones after he inevitably gets bought out by the Sharks.
Oh boy, that doesn't sound fun. Hey man, if he's backing up Lincoln and not making a lot of money, I'm not sure that I'd care too much, to be honest. But
Just have all of the worst goalies in the league. Trade for Jonathan Quick too.
And then I guess with that, I mean, it's like, what a trade. Hopefully, Caleb Jones will do well. I look forward to seeing him on the roster. Barclay Goodrow, the Rangers traded a seventh for him, signed him to a pretty ugly deal, I'd say. I wouldn't call it the worst in the world because, well, it's not like it's premium money, but that money is still going to be an issue. I don't like it too much.
Especially for a player like Goodrow, whose play style generally doesn't age too well. I feel like it's just going to be, what, 3.2 point? Is it 2.6 or 3.6
3.6.
per year? just 3.6 totally wasted for 3 years, the back 3 years or so. And he's just gonna be either chilling on LTIR or
Yeah,
chilling in
they'll need
Hartford.
a guy. They need a guy to go after Tom Wilson.
Yep.
It's
I
literally,
remember those days fondly as a Penguins fan. Not at all.
yeah. Oh boy. Um.
That's an entirely different rant though.
Yeah. I know with so with that, and then obviously speaking of a guy that's play style isn't going to age too well, Zach Hyman looks like Edmonton is going to be his place. Looks like he'll get maybe like a 6 million by 6 year deal, which to me seems that's going to be ugly in the
Ken
back end.
Holland, everybody. Ken Holland, everybody. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, Ken Holland's been kind of going crazy. Um, yeah, now I guess we have the expansion draft. There was a lot of good, there was a lot of bad. I guess we could ask, the first in question here. I mean, what was like the most surprising move?
I would in my opinion,
Yeah,
either the Columbus pick or the Philadelphia pick, where they just chose random AHLers over. It was just Twernsky and Beruthier over Max Domi and JVR or even Voracek.
yeah. I
Like
thought that
I don't get that.
I thought Max Domi was like not a Columbus, a lock for Seattle. I really thought that he's going to pick.
Yeah,
That was the surprise. I guess like with their best picks, I mean, I like the Jared McCann pick. I like the Yanni Gord pick. Kelly Kroc, Mark Giordano. I mean, those are some good picks. Dreger and Larson, if they can get them extended, those are picks I like. But
well, I believe that those contracts are the Drieger, the Larson, and the Alexia contracts. So they were made official today, I
yeah.
believe.
And then I know with I believe they also got from St. Louis Vince Dunn. I mean, I'm very happy to get Vince Dunn out of St. Louis. I think Steven and Link would agree on that.
Yes, I
I would
would be happy
concur.
with that.
Yes.
He's out of the division. The Blues are cooked, man. The Blues are cooked.
Dude, they're so fried, man. They're gonna
Yeah.
trade Tarasenko now that he's cooked. They're not gonna
Mhm.
get nearly as much for him. Like they literally sold their entire lives for a championship, and then everyone became washed.
The championship doesn't count in my book, by the way.
Yeah, likewise.
Blues Clues championship. But
Yeah,
let's get back on the serious side of this expansion draft. I was sad to see Kale Yarncroc go away. I thought swear man. I thought for a second they were going to pick Duchesne. I was like, I'm going to be really happy. But
Duchesne contract pack. Watch.
yeah, can't wait for
I
that.
would I would just like to say, for the three people that actually watched the expansion draft after Saravelli spoiled all the picks 10 hours early, uh, the way Beast Mode said Kelly Young, right? I believe he picked Kelly.
Oh no,
That was
man.
that was interesting.
Yeah, dude, the entire broadcast. This is the first time ESPN has covered hockey in a while, and it's the expansion draft. And boy, were there a lot of interesting people there. I will say there was some interesting analysis. Definitely,
Was it a step up
it's
from
gonna be.
NBC? I wasn't watching it live because of the spoilers.
I mean, listen, it's their first time doing it. Covering the sport. They gotta do their research again because sure as hell they haven't been doing it for since they lost the rights to the NHL. But this stuff's gonna happen. It's probably gonna happen the entire first year where people are gonna slip up, say something wrong. But yeah, it was bearable, I guess.
Yeah, probably the best part of the broadcast was the the college football, the college game day announcer or whatever. I don't know names for, but yeah.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't able to see, but Chicago and their pick. That was I was kind of disappointed they didn't take Zadorov, but meh. I guess we could actually trade him now. So I know
Yeah,
with
for real.
Pittsburgh they took Tanev. I think that wasn't that was I think a contract you probably were happy to get rid of, right, Dan?
Oh yeah, 3.5 for 4 more years. Love
That
Tanev.
was like the original
Didn't love
Goudreau
the
deal.
contract. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now Tanev was as a Penguins fan, Tanev was the ideal pick. Frees up a bunch of cap space, and he's a replaceable. We were playing on the fourth line. He's replaceable. I'm totally okay with that.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that was with the NHL that was just that was a really this has been a kind of an interesting week. So the draft will be soon. Free agency will open soon. There's the Dougie Hamilton chase will be interesting. Taylor Hall I think signed an extension with Boston, right? Um,
It's not official, but
it seems like it's
or at
going.
least unless it's been made official in the past hour. But yeah, they've made significant strides. Was the last I saw.
Yeah, and Dougie Hamilton, that will be an interesting one. Hopefully he can be there for Chicago, so the Jones dealing can be off. Seems like Chicago, Carolina, and New Jersey are the most interested parties. I could see why New Jersey would like to have him on the team, but hopefully we'll win out. I think we might have a more interesting pitch than New Jersey, if we're totally honest here. Um, as a number one defenseman is something that we could use badly as well. Um, as long as Adam Boquist is on the team, because I don't want to move him. But I guess that's fair. If anyone has anything kind of more to say about the NHL, say your piece. I guess.
I think I'm good, honestly.
All
I
right.
guess there's really. I'm trying to think. I don't think the schedule was released today. That's about it.
I suppose I could add on one thing about Seth Jones, man. If we trade Boquist for him, boy, just trade Strome, Mitchell,
I don't even want to move
and
Mitchell.
a first next year or something. I don't know,
I don't even want to move Mitchell
or
or
a
the
second
first.
or a second this year, please. Give me keep our first. I don't.
Yeah.
I just know we're gonna trade for Seth Jones. I should just stop being pissy about it and just accept it at this point. Oh God,
We
this
need
is
the
gonna be
Dallas
worse than the
Stars to
Bears.
clutch
This
through
is
here.
literally gonna be worse than the
Be
Bears trading
optimistic
if they
about it.
traded for
Hope the
Wentz.
Stars make this move instead of y'all. I mean, but we'll have to see where you are. How many
Yeah.
days has this trade been rumored for? The last week?
The last month or two, I believe, since the final.
Same with Eichel as well.
Yeah, Eichel's been
Eichel to
rumored for
Anaheim, to LA, to New York, to Minnesota, to Carolina.
he's been
I've heard
rumored
it all.
he's been rumored for a year now. It's just that now they're really picking up.
Yeah.
I guess yeah, that's all really with the NHL. We'll see how those sagas go. I guess now we could talk about the NFL for a little bit. So I'll ask, this. So the NFL has announced that the punishments if there is an outbreak amongst unvaccinated players.
Salt, can I interrupt real quickly? Because I think I might have to go for just a little bit. I hope to be back. I think I'll be back by the end of this.
Okay, yeah.
Just wanted to give you guys a heads up.
Okay, that
All right,
sounds fine.
cool. All right, see you guys.
Okay. All right. So, before I kind of get into that, I just wanted to thank Dan because he'll be heading out as well. So I'm going to thank him for being
That was
here.
wonderful insight on the draft. I really learned a lot because, I'm going to be honest, I've not really kept up on my prospect rankings. But hey, now I know a good bit.
Yeah.
That's tomorrow, right?
Yeah, the draft is tomorrow. Dan's rankings, I'll link them on I'll link them to you. I'll be sure to retweet them on the podcast account as well. So with the NFL, they have the COVID thing, and they've announced it amongst unvaccinated players if there is a breakout and they cannot reschedule it within the 18-week parameter, it could lead to a forfeit. And that seems crazy, but there are players that have been vocal about hitting out. Some of them are mad at the Players Association. DeAndre Hopkins is upset. Jalen Ramsey, I'm not sure if he's unvaccinated. It's very possible he's vaccinated. He seems to say that he would be very supportive of the teammates that aren't vaccinated. A few other players have voiced their um, frustrations before about this. I mean, do you have anything kind of to say about the whole saga link?
Well, I mean, COVID is still lingering in America. I think it's back on the rise with the summer months, even with the vaccine. But I mean,
Yeah, as I believe because they're opening up again, and I've heard that a lot of the cases, and this is related to what the NFL is doing, it's mostly unvaccinated at this point. Um,
they're
that
trying to encourage their teams to get vaccinated. And all I have to say, if you're gonna, if you're not gonna want to be vaccinated, if you're like an NFL star, please continue to wear a mask, or else you're gonna be costing. You may be costing your teammates.
yeah, I agree.
I
My
mean, you
my
gotta step. It's time to, you gotta still take responsibility, even if you don't want to take this COVID vaccine.
yeah, I
I
agree.
mean, we saw it last year with we saw it. I mean, the NFL doesn't want to do the rescheduling stuff that we had to deal with last year. I remember one of the Tennessee games was it was the game against I'm sorry if I draw a blank to it. I think it was the game against Buffalo. It had no, I forgot. But one
Yeah,
of our games had to be rescheduled because we had a COVID outbreak. But then again, this was before the vaccine. This was in really the prime of COVID-19.
yeah.
And
Correct
the
me.
NFL doesn't want another situation like this, so they're
Yeah.
gonna try to lay the hammer down.
Correct me if
Use
I'm
some.
wrong, Link. And I seriously mean, like, correct me if I'm wrong. We had a game every day of the week last season because of rescheduling.
That's right, we did. I'm pretty sure we did. I think you are absolutely right about that.
I don't remember what the
And
Tuesday game was, but if I remember, the Wednesday game was the Thanksgiving makeup between the Steelers and the Ravens, right?
mm-hmm, you're right.
That was the game that I believe RG3 started. Trace McSorley had in a really banged up Ravens team, I guess you could say, because of COVID, kept it close. Um, I mean,
And
I get why the NFL doesn't want to do the rescheduling. I just don't know if forfeiting is the best way to go about it. Uh,
I
I
mean,
can I can
I guess
understand
what other
I can understand
what
punishments, maybe going for player wages, whatnot, but I don't think that forfeits are. I don't think punishing people who did take responsibility, whether it be vaccinating or even if they didn't want to, they took to themselves and adhered to social distancing, putting a mask on, whatnot, to be punished for you know things that teammates have done. I'm not sure
yeah,
if
but
that.
I mean, what other precaution can you take to ensure the health and safety of your players? Like, you know, even if you do have, it's been proven that it's possible. I mean, even with the vaccine, your chances of getting COVID, they're very, very slim, but there's it just depends on exposed to.
Yeah,
And I can't really think of another precaution to take other than the game if they don't want to reschedule. I mean, do they punish the players that are unvaccinated? Then that goes into a whole different argument or a whole different discussion there. Maybe that involves the NFLPA.
yeah,
But I don't know. It's hard to say what's an alternative to take. I mean, we are very close to the preseason. We're almost close to the regular season. So we'll have to see. I mean, hopefully we don't have any major outbreaks and whatnot because, no one wants to see, especially fans, see your team have to forfeit and, after you shelled out all those tickets for the game and whatnot because I think all NFL's I can't say it because I don't have it pulled up, but I'm pretty sure a lot of NFL stadiums are going back to at least full capacity.
Not all full capacity, but there's a good portion, yeah. And I think,
Well, yeah, the Jaguars aren't because they can't fill up the full capacity.
yeah, but I think my major concern here is I don't know if forfeiting is the right way because it punishes too broadly for too specific of a problem. You're punishing other teammates that had nothing to do, that were not the problem, staff members that weren't the problem, the fans. Um, I mean, like, I I think this forfeiture is too broad of a solution for a problem that will, when inevitably they're going to strike at it because these are sports. There's lots of players. A team's going to have that problem. It's going to, it's going to be an issue. I wonder if the
I
NFL
can
has commented they were if punishments would be different depending if the team hit the threshold for what ideal vaccination rates are. Um, that's curious to me, but I really
I
just
guess this goes into I'm sorry to cut you off, but I mean this kind of encourages if you're a vaccinated player on, your team, you got to watch it. You got to watch for those who are unvaccinated. You got to like tell them like, "Hey man, don't be doing stuff stupid. Like don't be doing anything stupid. Wear a mask, be responsible. You're unvaccinated. You could cost us a lot."
yeah, and I
I
wouldn't be
mean,
surprised to see teams starting to have strict curfews for players that are unvaccinated. Um, I would fully expect to see plenty of teams being ready to have their own disciplinary measures and things ready for unvaccinated players. Possibly, we'll see if they maybe add incentives for getting vaccination. But yeah, this is a very like tricky situation. I guess is the best way to put
it
it.
is, and it also extends to off the field because you see the team report. It's like, hey, or some team post on Twitter, we have to forfeit because there was a COVID outbreak. Once fans find out who started the outbreak or the players who started, they're gonna be upset at them. Like they may, you know, take some, like there may be a lot of very unpopular players by the end of the year. Depends on how it goes. I mean, imagine that if you're if you're winning, you're in the playoff and then stuff like this happens, I mean, fans are going to be very pissed off at those players and want them to be off the team, no matter who they are.
Yeah, I agree. Um, I think this system is way too harsh. I think that it, like I said, it's too broad of a punishment to a specific player. I In the end, they need to like the NFL needs to wake up and realize this. Forfeiture is not going to make anyone happy. In a way, it I feel like it could compromise some of the integrity of the season. Um, I think it's within the best interest of the league to, instead of doing something like that, to have other measures of discipline. Perhaps if you want to talk about wages, the money that the players make, like fines, suspensions, you can maybe do that if you want to go on the harsher end. I'm not even sure how comfortable I am with that. But I think that costing a whole team, which is beyond just the players, the staff, it's some for some teams it's like a community. I think that's like completely unfair. You know, costing people who work at the games, costing fans, costing local economies potentially, depending on how big or small their effect is. Talk about like Green Bay, for example, having a large effect, or a team that captures the heart of their whole city, like the Chiefs. I just don't think that game
Hello,
forfeiture.
hello.
Hey, Steven, I don't think that game forfeiture is the right solution by the NFL to handle this.
What did
Uh,
I walk in on? If anyone can recap me,
we're
apologize for
discussing the
one of the
NFL
questions.
and their punishments for unvaccinated players if they contract COVID. It's possibly game forfeiture.
I
Um,
get it. Honestly, the bigger issue isn't that they contact COVID. It's just, I mean, I suppose, I mean, well, I mean, it's just, they're gonna. I mean, okay, I guess it is. I was going off on a tangent. It's just, that it's just gonna lead to mass infections and everything, and I don't know. I'm honestly just more concerned because the NFL is so strict with like they vaccinate players often. It's not like they're not going the extra mile here, but it's just that like the average Joe is not going to get tested for COVID nearly as frequently as the average NFL player. And again, it's just kind of this sort of thing. I don't know. I may be a bit unrelated, maybe a bit of a side tangent, but I don't know. For me, it's just them getting COVID is less of a concern as what they say about the vaccine and everything. So I don't know if the punishment should be super severe. I think game forfeiture is the right way to go. I wouldn't say salary forfeiture extreme, but it's definitely charting some dangerous waters,
yeah.
especially too because the average, I'd say most athletes would probably lean towards the questionable side of vaccinations than than some people who would be more willing to put it nicely.
Yeah, but like I said, I think my big problem is that I agree that they should have harsh punishments. I just think the game forfeiture is extending way beyond the actual root of the problem. It's way too broad of a solution.
That's what I was saying. That's
Yeah.
what I was saying as well. Like it's hard to get a specific punishment because really, there's nothing really that the punishment's going to fit the crime for. It's just kind of these general punishments that again aren't really going to do a lot in the long run. It's just going to kind of and players are just going to take this and they're just going to use it to spread what they've been saying, and they're going to probably become more motivated towards it at the end of the day. And it's difficult too because this isn't just like this permeates right like this like them not getting vaccinated and everything their choice to do so it's usually on the burden of their coaches their ownership and everything like that who's trying to get everything in shape, trying to get everyone the best they can, get into shape for next year, and to not have any rough rides. The average player who's like an anti-vaxxer or who is very questionable of it is not going to suffer nearly as much, in my opinion, as the owner who would try to get everyone on board with it, who's kind of, or the average manager or owner, whatever, who's trying to kind of get the troops rallied together, which is a difficult way. Like I said, it just the burden ends up falling on the people it spreads to, or on the people who are listening to the player.
Yeah. And I get
So
it.
it's really tricky for these punishments.
Yeah.
I don't know if I came in late on this or if you guys just
No,
that
it's
was my
fine. Um
You know what? Let's move on to a less controversial topic that will hopefully not divide people on this. I don't know if we reported on this last time we recorded, but the NFL has agreed we're getting alternative helmets back. Yeah, baby.
I believe you did mention that. Yeah, we were talking about, I think the Panthers got one. I think the Titans might go with the Oilers now.
Yeah, no designs have been, I think, no designs have been out or leaked yet because this is still a brand new thing, and they still have to get a design going. But hey, I'm happy. I think everyone is happy about this,
Yeah, I'm
and
excited.
this shouldn't cause any. I mean, think about how many different designs we can see. I mean, the Oilers throwbacks. I don't want to, and Patriots throwbacks, Bucks throwbacks. I don't really want just throwbacks, but just we can get some cool new designs. I'd really like to see maybe a black Philadelphia Eagles helmet with the traditional eagle wing on the top. Stuff like that. It's gonna be really exciting to watch. But
Yeah, I mean,
man, we
maybe the
may
Cowboys can
see
add
some
some
ugly ones.
color.
So
Can do like a
yeah,
more
we
of a
may see some.
yeah. But yeah,
All right,
I'm excited for that. But I guess now is that kind of it for the NFL or
yeah, let's talk about baseball.
baseball? All right. So Steven, I know the All-Star game happened, the Derby happened. Um, I don't have much to say about that except for that was kind of crazy just watching Pete Alonso dance while a kid tore his ACL.
Yeah, dude, that was messed up. I was at these events as well, along with Game 6. A lot of fun watching the Derby in person. I think people, I mean, I know the consensus, thank God, was that the Derby was a pretty good one, and I thought so as well. Although I wouldn't be strictly candid if I was saying that I wasn't extremely disappointed that Otani got knocked out of the first round. And that kind of hurt my attention towards Alonso's second, which was just insane. Those 35 and Salvi had like 27. I mean,
Yes.
that would have won him that would have won him in any round if he wasn't facing Pete Alonso, poor guy. But it was very fun. A lot of close matchups.
Yeah,
Although very,
the first round had I think the first round was like every matchup was close except for Perez versus Alonso, and even then they still both hit a lot. So that
yeah, that was basically just a fort. That was just basically like an Iron Man between those two, just who could hit the most homers. It wasn't even really a competition at that point. Both delivered. So in that way, I suppose it was more
yeah.
important. Whereas a lot of these other ones was just kind of hitting one the other guy. Here it's just
Yeah,
like
the
both
other
like
ones were close. Soto
just
versus
yeah,
Otani, that was down the
yeah,
wire.
that was insane.
Gallo and
Um,
Story. Dude, imagine
mhm.
if Joey Gallo had better pitches at the start of his round, man. He would have won.
Oh yeah, yeah, I know that was a nightmare. And then it was Olsen Mancini. I think was in the first round as well. I think that was pretty close.
Yeah, that was a close one. Olsen almost tied it. Yeah.
Yes, glad Mancini got to go to the finals. That was nice.
Yeah, Mancini is the guy
Come
that
back
you
from
root for.
yeah, exactly. Just a nice story there for the guy. Happy for him.
I know with the
Um,
All-Star game, we're all National League fans and we're all disappointed again.
National League's cursed, dude. All right, it's
Man.
just rigged against it. I score capped. That was the first time first game I've ever score capped. The whole thing was the All Star game. What a first game to score keep, dude. It was a bit of a nightmare, but I got through it. I was able to do it successfully. I'm also a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to that. Thank God I got an eraser on that pencil. So it was fun. For me though, the futures game really stood out, and obviously because I'm a Cubs fan, getting to see Brandon Davis at 2 home runs, just seeing Brandon Davis in person, I knew going into it was going to be a treat. Just to watch the guy finally, see what he can do. And then that first ball over the fence, that was insane. And the second ball, I mean, on that like kind of low curve, not low curve, like low in the zone. I guess it was kind of hanging, but both those were just fantastic. And the guy's been putting on a show. He had 2 homers 2 days ago. Today, I don't know. Today, I don't think he got. I think he was hitless. But in July, his stretch has been fantastic. His WRC plus has been reaching over that 200 range, if I'm not mistaken. He's been just towering over the ball. It's been fantastic to watch. He's catapulted himself in the top 20 on Fangraphs, I believe, and on Keith Law's newly dropped prospect rankings. And I assume Pipeline will be soon to follow, as well as Baseball America. It's just a treat to watch the guy. Really, I mean, he's a fantastic ball player. And even Manuel Rodriguez, Cubs relief pitcher, struck out Tyler Soderstrom, flashing that 99 sinker, which was nice to see as well.
Yeah. I know with I mean the Cubs have a really exciting farm. I'm a big Ed Howard enjoyer. Um,
Yes, Howard 3 hits tonight too.
yeah. Um, so
Yeah, he's been
I guess with
absolutely.
baseball, there's the trade deadline's coming up. I know the Cubs and the Braves they made a deal with each other. The Braves got
Yes.
Jock, a former Dodgers. It's kind of a special moment for all three of us, I guess.
Yes, exactly. We're all very sentimental towards Jock. Cubs got Bryce Ball, solid first base prospect. You'd be happy to get that return for Jock. Cubs will probably be the main piece at the deadline here. They're in a really unique spot. I don't know if really many teams, if any, have been in the unique position the Cubs are, where they just have so many guys due for free agency next year. I think the list is like 20 or so, and some of them obviously are not gonna make it to the other side. Um, some are gonna keep beat Cubs because they're just not good enough to get a great return. But you look at Chris Bryant,
Yeah.
Craig Kimbrell, Andrew Chafin, Javier Baez, Anthony Rizzo, Ryan Tepera, hell, even maybe Zach Davies. I mean, they have a lot of options to deal at this deadline, and for a farm too, that's kind of getting their top pieces in, and they're kind of going for the depth now. They're solidifying that mid tier. This deadline's going to be huge. It's probably what's going to catapult them, in my opinion, from that kind of close to top 15 range, maybe top 15 if you're a little bit nice to them, to that solid top 15 range. And then they're going to have a few years of drafts where they're going to be probably around a 75, probably less win team, which will put them in a good spot to get to bolster that top end. And the Cubs, their scouting development, talent evaluation has really just shown itself. Even the guys they got for in the Yu Darvish trade, Owen Casey, outfielder, is doing insane in the Arizona Complex League. Definitely getting some high praise from some of the guys, and Preciado is also doing really well. And it's definitely a whole new look for the Cubs, who are definitely struggling for those big contending years. Kind of the farm system was on the last was on was at the back of everyone's minds, and now it's at the forefront, and for good reason. So it's very exciting time to be a Cubs fan. Absolutely. As for the returns, I wouldn't expect anything too crazy. I mean, obviously the main guys, I think this is the consensus, would be Brian and Kimbrel. I wouldn't expect. I'm not even sure if they can nab a top 100 for either of them, honestly, just because the deadline market, it's never really that active. But they're two very good players. Kimbrel, of course, having one of the best relief pitcher seasons, in my opinion, like in the last like Statcast, like in the Statcast era.
The
He's been
best
top 10
season
in a
since
lot of stuff
Craig
his first half.
Kimbrell in 2012.
Yeah, that's accurate. That's accurate. He's been fantastic. I mean, he might not even be a rental too. He's got that team option for next year, which teams would probably be willing to take. Spend $60 million on a vintage Craig Kimbrell. It's probably a good price, or at least it may be for some teams. So we'll see. They got a lot to sort out. They're not going to be tempted to sell these guys off for anything either. They're going to be able to take their time. They have the patience to. They never really needed the deadline was always kind of a to be determined sort of thing. Like even in May, the momentum was swaying towards buying for good reason too. So it's a nice way to add some good depth to a farm system that's looking more and more promising by the day. So it's a good time to be a Cubs fan. Good time to get into prospects if you have not already.
Yeah, the Dodgers need to make some moves. They need to get a pitcher.
They're behind the Giants, right?
Yes, however, as it
God, the
stands, I
Giants.
believe we are. Let me check if. As it stands, we're beating them. It's the top of the eighth. So it's a close race. Kind of wish we won the game yesterday. If we did, we'd be taking first. We held this lead, but hopefully we don't blow this one either. But I guess the way to say it is, for the Dodgers, we need to find some talent to acquire, but we need to do it without trading Josiah Gray or Kyber Ruiz. I think those guys you want to move in more big off-season-esque moves. If you want, well, no, you don't want to move
Yeah,
Gray. You're willing to. I'd be willing to move Ruiz though, just because we have Will Smith. but Gray is definitely an
Yeah,
untouchable. I think with Bauer, I don't think he'll ever pitch a game again. You have with what's his face, Kershaw. We'll see what happens with him. There are rumors that he wants to retire now that he has his championship. We'll see in the end. But I think pitching is a must to get because as it stands right now, it's just we're down to Bueller and Urias. Kershaw's I think has been a little hurt, but he should be back obviously. So we'll see, but it'll
it's
be an
just
interesting
Bellinger's
deadline.
injuries, and when he's been healthy, he hasn't been
Yeah,
fantastic.
and
It's
that
just
shoulder
that's
injury,
just been a huge killer.
that shoulder
Yeah,
injury cooked him.
yeah, that's been a huge killer. So
Yeah,
they'll have opportunities too. The deadline is definitely shifting away from trading big prospects and more towards trading middle of the road guys. Of course, we'll see how that impacts the big names trade at the deadline because it's a very situational thing. You'll get very great players traded at the deadline, and teams will adjust with their prospect returns. But I don't think the Dodgers will have to part with any of their big top 100s, especially Gray, who looks to be a fantastic pitcher. I really like his profile. And I thank God every day. I thank God that he is not a Cincinnati Red in the year 2021. Man, I cannot believe they traded him for Matt Kemp, Yasiel Puig, and Alex Wood.
and Kyle Farmer.
Oh yeah, and Kyle Farmer,
Yeah. I
who's still on the
guess.
Reds.
Anyone else kind of have anything to say about baseball?
We need to find a way to stop playing the Marlins.
Yeah, we need to just ban the Marlins from
My
baseball, man.
God,
The
I
Marlins
you know
kill the
what?
Cubs
Where?
so much.
I didn't even want to talk about it for your own sake, but man, I
It's
just feel so bad.
I hate. Oh
They're
my
so
God!
pesky.
There's no hope.
They're just so
It's just
pesky.
been pain all season.
Yeah, this is like the legitimate
I
like nightmare for the Braves.
It's
I feel
it's
so
not
bad.
as bad as last year when John Birdie was uncritically productive, but Jesus.
Man, like dude, even like I feel bad, dude. I feel like low key Don Mattingly was fucking smiling when Acuna was hurt, like the piece of shit he is.
you saw that series against the Marlins. I mean, it's been a thing since he got into the league. I mean, with him, the feud between him and the Marlins, and once again another chapter in this because he got intentionally hit by a pitch on I think the game before he got injured, and of course the no good guy on the Marlins Twitter account had to post the video of him literally just
In
of
pain.
him in the outfield. Yeah, it's so painful. I hate Marlins. I don't like them, but it's painful. But we're still in the NL East race for 4 games back. Jesus, I
Yeah.
can't believe it.
It's crazy. Best of luck to the Braves, but man. I guess that is that anything that kind of it for baseball.
Yeah, that's it for me.
All right. Do we have any bonuses to talk about? I have nothing to be cool. Well, I actually do have one thing, but if you have anything.
Oh man, I got some topics. Yeah, I can talk about some stuff. So I'm gonna go to my this is the once again the edition of NASCAR talk. I know this is so riveting for y'all. I hear someone snoring back there, but wake up for this. The reminder that the playoff system is a joke, and Eric Almirola he won at New Hampshire. Literally the entire season he was running garbage. He was in a trash car. In fact, he was on pace to have a worse season than Danica Patrick did in the same equipment. So you know how bad it was going to be. But guess what? He won a race. You know what this means, right? He's in the playoff. He's going to fight for a championship this fall. He's about to take a spot for someone who actually was consistent all season, like Dylan or Tyler Reddick. driving way better than he has this entire season. And guess who gets in? Eric Almirola, because the win formula is stupid and I hate it. It needs to be abolished. It's killing the sport. It's making it illegitimate. I'm fine. You know what? I'm going to say this. Have a playoff, whatever, but not the win and you're in. Just have the top 16 drivers in points and then do a playoff off that. I wouldn't even mind that. Even though I still hate the idea of a knockout system, it's still garbage. Just having the fact that someone like Eric Almirola, who's running late 20s in points before the race at New Hampshire, and now he's in the playoff, guaranteed. I mean, it's unbelievable. And yeah. Other than that, NCAA got two big news stories there. Players are now able to be compensated. That's good to hear.
Yeah, they
Players can actually
deserve it.
make money. In fact, the current Alabama quarterback is already making $1 million, and they haven't even taken the field yet. So that's it was Bryce Young, by the way. I forgot the name. But yeah, this is going to change the face of college football for the future. And speaking of college football, guess who's trying to get into the Southeastern Conference?
Texas and Oklahoma.
It's Texas and Oklahoma. For some reason, they want our money and they want to be included in our conference. Well, I am 100% not down with it. We have too many members. We don't need this. We don't need them. It's not like they're going to boost our prestige. We're already the best conference in football. We're probably the best conference in the overall NCAA in terms of all sports. The fact that Texas and Oklahoma, especially Texas, the way they drove the Big 12 into the ground, and remember this story when they decided the horns down, which is like a taunt by opposing I can't say it. It just makes me so heated, the fact that Texas literally they drove their conference into the ground, and then now they want to try to come to the SEC and potentially do the same thing. No, I am 100% against it. Get them out of here. Go independent, or just if you're try to salvage the Big 12, because we don't. College football definitely does for if it wants to stay alive.
Yeah, I agree. I think from what I've heard, there is a voting block in the SEC to keep significant rivalries out. I've also heard the official process stops at 4, but optimistically you'd want a majority to shut it down. So, based on what I can infer, the voting block is Texas A&M, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, and I believe there's one in South Carolina, all because they have an in-state, out-of-conference rival that they do not want to see join the SEC. And from what I could tell, those 5 should be locks to not accept the move. From what I could tell, I'd think that the other 2 ex-Big 12 teams, Arkansas and Mizzou, neither of them would be eager to welcome Texas or Oklahoma. So, to me, this seems like smoke, possibly a chance to get leverage. I don't think the SEC will be allowing them in. I think this dilutes their revenue sharing too. So, I'm not sure this will work out.
There's no advantage. I mean, what do we gain with Texas and Oklahoma joining?
It doesn't help
Nothing.
Vandy.
It doesn't. I mean,
it dilutes the revenue sharing pool, and because you're an
exactly.
SEC East team, you don't get to even get revenue from playing them most of the time.
And they don't record. And like I said, they don't even bring anything new to the table. Texas. We already have the Texas market down. We don't really have an Oklahoma market because we don't need to have an Oklahoma market because they aren't even in the southeastern region. You could say the same thing about Texas
But
or
at least
Missouri.
Texas A&M, Texas A&M brings you everything that Texas gives you.
Yeah, and they're a little bit more respectful to our conference and how it works, and their fan base isn't totally clueless. But it's just ridiculous, man. I don't want this at all, and voting is gonna. And here's a big thing, with Texas having the Longhorn Network, how is that going to coincide with the SEC network?
I
It
certainly
won't.
think that teams are not willing to have Longhorn Network take up anything.
Yeah, and it's ridiculous. Anyway, I think that's about it from me.
Yeah. So I'll do a very quick bonus minute and then we'll sign off. Formula One race last weekend. Exciting for me as a Charles Leclerc fan. Really bad crash. Lewis Hamilton knocks out Verstappen. Definitely should have been disqualified from the race. Hamilton wins the race. Leclerc finishes second. I'm sad.
Um, he spun him out, and you call him for. You see in NASCAR, we just call that another Tuesday.
Yeah, pretty much. But like Jesus, it was awful. Yeah, I guess that's all I have. So yeah, this was a fun one to record. Big thanks to Dan. We'll definitely link his social media under. This episode will release sometime tomorrow from our recording date being being July 22nd. So that should drop on the 23rd. Thank you guys
Fantastic.
for listening here, being big support. This is Saul. There's Lincoln, Steven, and we'll sign off.
Hello and
Yeah.
See you
good night.
guys.
On.